here on a motion to suppress evidence that was filed by the defense. We're scheduled here at this time for an evidentiary hearing. We were scheduled last week. Due to some discovery issues, the court granted the defendant's request to continue this matter. You've been able to attend to whatever issues you wanted to look into for?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you're prepared to go forward then at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
And stay prepared? Any issues we need to address before we get started?
Judge, the state has 3 potential witnesses. 2 of them are here. Deputy Nye, he thought the hearing was set for 11. He reversed it.
You prepared to start?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 2 witnesses, but I just wanted, he's en route, and he should be here about 9:30.
Well, you're scheduled for 9 o'clock.
I understand, Judge. Yes, understood.
Your Honor, I just would object to the relevance of other witness testimony. My argument in the motion
Speak up a little bit, please.
Sorry. My argument in the motion to suppress is that that officer and I specifically didn't have reason to stop the defendant. And so the other individuals that the state intends to present were not present when that happened. They wouldn't be able to testify as to what Officer Nye saw when he appeared in the 10-second span between the consensual stop and when it was then
This hearing could take like 20 seconds maybe?
What?
This hearing could take like 20 seconds? Well, what's the purpose of these other witnesses?
Well, Judge, as I understood when we were discussing the fireman's report or documents last week, there was an issue as to reasonable articulable suspicion. Deputy Takavic arrives, and Sergeant Kelly also. They are not present in the initial encounter between the defendant and Deputy Nye. However, they are there shortly thereafter and view the defendant and factors that go to the reasonable articulable suspicion, because this is a situation, Judge, as the state noted in its brief, it's a blending of a caretaking function, caretaking exception to the Fourth Amendment into an investigatory stop. Those factors are overlapping. They respond for a welfare check, and it turns into an investigatory stop.
I'm going to allow them to present whatever testimony she wants to present, and I'll consider it for whatever relevance that it has pertaining to the issue being raised here. All right, is there a state care to make any opening comments or statements?
State would waive opening.
For defense?
Defense is opening as well.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. All right, then, Ms. Monroe, you may call your first witness.
I would call Deputy Taylor Takavic to the stand.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The suppression originally scheduled last Monday or Tuesday?
Thank you. 4.
The 4th? Okay, thank you.
May proceed.
You may, thank you.
Good morning, Deputy.
Good morning.
Would you be kind enough to state your name, spell your last name for the record, ma'am?
Taylor Takavic, T-E-K-A-V-I-C.
And Deputy Takavic, you are employed with the Lake County Sheriff's Department?
Correct.
Your Honor, just one moment. I don't know, was this one of the other officers that you were intending on having testify? Okay.
He's not involved in it anyway?
No, no.
Not a
Thank you.
trial yet?
No, I've never met Deputy
Okay.
Judge.
Well, good morning, welcome. You're not involved in this case at all? Okay, you're more than welcome to speak. Appreciate it. You may continue.
Thank you, Judge. You are employed at the Lake County Sheriff's Department?
Correct.
What is your position currently?
I'm a road deputy,
And how long have you been a road deputy?
approximately 2 years.
Prior to your position as a road deputy, were you employed in another capacity with the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, I was.
And what was that, ma'am?
I was a corrections officer.
And that involved working in the jail?
Correct.
How long were you a corrections officer?
Approximately 2 years.
Okay. And you are a certified peace officer in the state of Ohio?
Correct.
When did you receive your certification?
2021.
You've held that certification up to present day with no interruption?
Yes.
Now, I want to turn your attention to August 28th of 2022, and asked if you were working in your capacity as a road patrol deputy.
Yes.
And the shift you'd been assigned on that date?
Day shift?
And during the course of day shift, are you assigned a particular zone, or are you a road car?
I was assigned to a particular zone.
And what was that?
I believe it was Perry that time.
All right. Now, when you report for duty, do you have a marked cruiser?
Yes.
Are you in a uniform much as you are today?
Yes.
And do you also have other equipment, a body camera or dash cam or something of that nature?
I have a body camera.
Okay. And did you have your cruiser, you were in uniform, and you were wearing your body cam that day?
Correct.
Did you have occasion at approximately 9 o'clock or shortly before to
PM
respond?
or AM?
AM.
Okay.
To respond to a call that you were assisting Deputy Nye?
Yes.
Do you recollect the nature of the call, Deputy?
Welfare check.
All right. And how is it that the call came to your attention?
The caller made a comment that someone was slumped over.
All right. And you heard the dispatch?
Yes.
Were you dispatched as backup, or did you take the initiative and go to assist?
I do not recall.
All right. And the location of the call?
B&B Apartments.
All right.
What apartments?
B&B Apartments.
And that's located where?
Right at the Painesville Township off of Spring Lake Boulevard.
Okay. And when you, well, take us through, where were you when you received the transmission, and how long did it take you to get there?
I do not recall exactly where I was at during that time. It probably took me a few minutes to get there.
Okay. So you didn't arrive with Nye?
No, I
You
did
was
not.
already there?
Correct.
All right. And when you got there, what did you first see?
I observed Deputy Nye and the defendant in handcuffs.
All right. And where were they?
They were standing in the roadway.
All right. And so once you made those observations, what's the first thing you did, Deputy?
I began assisting Deputy Nye.
Okay. How did you do that?
Assisting Deputy Nye.
What assistance did you provide him at that, initially when you arrived?
I made sure that the scene was safe.
Okay. And how did you go about doing that?
I was checking around, making sure that, nobody else was around to interfere.
Okay. As a result of sort of visually surveilling the area, what, if anything, did you take note of?
I noticed some alcohol bottles on the floor, laying in the grass, and I also noticed some duster.
All right. With respect to, you said alcohol bottles, those were located where? Were they in something, outside of something?
Believe they were outside.
All right. And how about, you said dust off, what is that?
It's like a spray that you use to clean out keyboards to remove dust,
Okay, where was that?
lying in the grass.
All right. And was it by any fixture or anything?
It was near a fire hydrant.
As a result of those observations, what did you do at that point? Once you took note of that, you knew where the Deputy Nye was and the defendant, and what did you do at that point?
Began assisting Deputy Nye with checking his welfare to make sure he's okay.
Okay. And could you describe the demeanor of the individual that Deputy Nye was with?
Slurred speech.
Okay. What else?
He was a little irate at the time.
All right. So what did you do in response to that?
I did try calming him down a little bit by talking with him.
All right. Now, Deputy, are you familiar with the individual that Deputy Nye had stopped at that, or detained at that point?
Yes.
And how is it you're familiar with him?
I have booked him into the jail quite a few times.
And what is the individual's name?
Objection. Relevant.
Overruled.
And when you approached and saw the individual with Deputy Nye, did you know who it was?
Yes.
And that individual's name is what?
Alois Polzer.
And do you see Alois Polzer in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
You could point to him and describe what he's wearing.
He's wearing a suit.
And if the record could reflect, she'd correctly identify the defendant.
Record may so reflect.
So, once you approach them,
I understand.
I'm sorry?
It's either him or Stan.
Oh, my apologies.
Record may reflect.
The seated man in the, well,
Yeah.
they're both sitting down.
Gray shirt.
Is
he wearing gray too?
Yes, he is.
Oh, look at that. Just my luck, right?
So when you approached the defendant and Deputy Nye, you said you tried to calm him down.
Yes.
And when you approached, or you said you heard slurred speech,
Yes.
and what, if anything, else did you note about his appearance or any odor or anything of that nature?
You could smell a slight odor of alcohol, and he appeared to be, like, wet, possibly from, I mean, it looked like there was dew on the ground that morning.
Okay. All right. So, take us through what happens at this point. How is it that you and Deputy Nye are going about trying to assess his welfare and make sure that he's okay?
Just by talking to him, seeing what's going on.
And while you're doing that, do any other firemen, policemen arrive on scene at that time?
Yes, we did have 2 ambulances arrive. Only one of them actually took care during that time. The other one left. And Sergeant Kelly also arrived on scene.
Okay. And what was the purpose of the ambulance or the rescue squad?
So the rescue squad is there to check vitals, make sure that, you know, there's no elevated blood pressure or anything of that nature.
All right. So once you assess the defendant's demeanor, and you're going to wait for the squad to check him out?
Yes.
So while you're doing that, where did, you started off, you said, standing by the roadway or the driveway by B&B Apartments?
Yes.
Is that correct? And then you moved, did you move back to the fire hydrant at any point?
I do not recall.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 3A, B, and C.
Your Honor, I would just renew my objection as to relevance. This was after the entire interaction had taken place. The items were moved and placed into the patrol car.
Noted for the record.
Recognize what's...
Yeah, that is the duster.
Okay, so you recognize the item that's captured in the photograph 3A, B, and C?
Correct.
And what is that?
That is the duster that we found.
Can of dust off?
Yep.
All right. And that was located where, ma'am?
I believe that was near the fire hydrant.
And do the pictures fairly accurately represent it as you found it on that date, August 28th, 2022?
Yes.
The check move for the emissions of State Exhibit 3A, B, and C, and ask the published.
Well, I'm gonna let defense counsel cross-examine, before I decide its admissibility, but you could use them if you need to for your testimony.
And you said you found that by the fire hydrant.
Yes.
And when you were en route, the call that you received was male slumped over the fire hydrant?
Yes.
Something of that effect?
Yes.
Of that effect? So once you saw that, what, if anything, did you and Deputy Nye do in response to check the welfare of the defendant at that time?
You're asking what else we did?
Yeah, in terms of your assessment of him, or were you just waiting for the squad?
We waited for the squad and continued. I believe there was just small talk in between there,
Okay.
just to help calm down.
So you were waiting for the squad
Mm?
and, with the defendant, and when the squad gets there, what happens?
One of the firefighters or paramedics approached, and they said everything was okay, and my sergeant had to ask them to perform vitals.
Okay. And did they do that?
Yes.
And once they did that, what did you folks do in response to that?
He was escorted out of the ambulance, and he stood next to me while I believe Deputy Nye and Sergeant Kelly had a conversation.
Okay. And when they were having a conversation, and when you located the dust-off can in State Exhibit 3A, B, and C, what, if any, examination did you make of that can?
It was not completely full.
Deputy 9 Sergeant Kelly, had a short discussion, what was the decision, of what was gonna happen with the defendant at that point?
That he would be arrested.
So, in terms of the welfare check, Deputy Chakavik, obviously your observations at that time of his demeanor and his clothing and what you found by the fire hydrant, were taken into account, but you were also gonna wait for an assessment by the fire department, is that correct?
Correct.
And once that assessment was concluded, he was gonna be taken to the jail,
Correct.
if he was cleared medically to do.
Correct.
I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Thank you. Cross-examination, Mr. Carroll?
Good morning.
So, you said when you arrived to the scene, you arrived for a welfare check, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And when you were, the things that you noted, you said that you noticed slurred speech and that he was angry.
Yes.
And he was angry about being detained, right?
Most likely, yes.
Yeah, he had repeatedly asked if he could just go to his friend's house right down the street,
Correct.
and he kept saying that you didn't need to stop him, that he could just go home.
Correct.
He was saying? Okay. And when you found the duster, you were the one that found the duster can?
I think all three of us saw it lying in the grass.
Okay, so that was, you all walked over there while you were waiting for the EMS to arrive?
Yes.
Okay, and then that's when you saw that duster can, inspected it, picked it up, looked at it. Okay. No further questions, thank you.
Redirect examination?
None, Judge.
All right, Ms. Step down, thank you.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
Oh, Sergeant Kelly?
Your Honor, I'd just like to renew my objection for the same reasons on this witness.
Yes, noted for the record. You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Got a more comfortable chair.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Would you be kind enough to state your name and spell your last name for the record, Sergeant?
Yes, my first name is John, my last name is Kelly, Kelley.
And Sergeant, where are you employed?
With the Lake County Sheriff's Office,
How long have you been so employed?
22 years.
And what's your position?
I'm a road patrol deputy sergeant.
You're a certified peace officer in the state of Ohio?
Yes, I am.
You've been certified since when?
2001.
And since 2001 up to present day, no interruption, you've held that certification?
That's correct.
I want to turn your attention to August 28th of 2022 and ask if you were working for the Sheriff's Department on that day.
Yes, I was. I was working the day shift from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
And as a sergeant, are you assigned a zone or are you a road car?
Assigned to supervisory duties, and I'm not assigned to a specific zone.
So you have both, you function as a road patrol officer and you also have some supervising duties as well as administrative duties as a sergeant, is that right?
Yes.
But you have a marked cruiser.
Yes, I do.
You report for duty in your uniform.
Yes, I do.
Do you wear any body cams?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And did you have all of those things on August 28th of 2022?
Yes, I did.
Did you have occasion at approximately 9 a.m. to respond to a call that was initially dispatched to Deputy Nye of the Sheriff's Department?
I did.
And where was that call?
The call was in the area of, I believe it was 8 Spring Lake in Painesville Township, Lake County, Ohio. 18?
18
Yeah,
Spring
I'm
Lake.
sorry, 18 Spring Lake in Painesville Township, Lake County, Ohio.
All right. Do you recollect the nature of the call?
The call came in of a unresponsive male that was on the side of the road. That was all that the caller provided at that specific time.
Okay. And did you hear any other transmissions by Deputy Nye on your way there?
I did.
And what were those?
Deputy Nye called out that he was on scene. Well, prior to that, he called out that, he was with a passerby who had flagged him down.
Okay,
And then he said that he was pulling on scene, that there was a male that was unconscious on the side of the road, and he requested a
That was
rescue. Unconscious on the side of the road, and he
Unconscious.
requested a rescue squad.
okay. So once you get there, what do you first observe?
When I got there, I
Hang on
observed.
1 second, please. I just wanna, I'm sorry. You may continue, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. When I got on scene, Deputy Takavic and Deputy Nye were already on scene. Deputy Nye had a male detained, in handcuffs and was speaking with him, in front of his, police cruiser, and Painesville Township Rescue was arriving on scene.
So the initial response to the call was what officers routinely call a welfare check?
That's fair and accurate, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you get there, what are your observations of the individual that the call was related to?
The male that, Deputy Nye had detained, he was very, how can I explain this? He had like, for lack of better terms, like excited delirium, you know what I mean? He was very talkative. His eyes appeared to be, somewhat glazed. He had a faint odor of alcohol on him, which we later found was because, he had spilled the alcoholic beverage container on the ground and he had fallen on it. But I also, remember a distinct, like, it was like an acetone or like a chemical smell or something like that on him. The fire department, initially said, well, he's okay, and then I insisted, no, I go, let's get some vital signs on this gentleman, let's make sure that he's okay and he's medically cleared, to make sure that he's all right, because based off of our observations, I mean, there clearly wasn't something okay. We've had 3 people that called that said that he was unconscious on the side of the road, or 2 people called and Deputy and I witnessed it, and then, I show up and then there's a bunch of different characteristics that go along with that, for us to deem that he needed to be medically cleared.
So, at some point in your, response and presence at this call, did you learn who the individual was?
I did.
And you know his name?
Last name's Polzer. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce your first name, sir.
And do you see, the individual with the
Yes,
last name?
he's seated over there in a black sport coat and a gray shirt.
Next to Ms. Carroll.
Yes.
The records reflect that witnesses identified the defendant, Judge.
Record may so reflect.
And so at this point, while you're in the midst of the welfare check, and you made the observations that you testified to, in particular the chemical odor, what, if any, items are observed in the area where the defendant was said to have been unconscious?
In speaking with Deputy Nye, he stated that when he arrived on scene, that he found Mr. Polzer on or near a fire hydrant that was located probably about 50 feet from where we were at, directly adjacent his patrol car. Next to that fire hydrant, there was a Dollar General bag, a yellow Dollar General bag, plastic bag. Inside of it contained miscellaneous shopping items like, I think there was a thing of milk in there, some frozen breakfast sandwiches, some Truly alcoholic seltzer cans, one of which was broken open, and then there was a can of dust off compressed air.
Okay. So when you made those observations in light of what you saw with respect to the defendant's demeanor, the next step in the welfare check was to have the fire department check them out?
That's correct.
And while you're waiting for the fire department, where is the defendant?
The defendant was standing outside, and like I said, by the time I got there, the rescue squad was pulling up. So he was standing in front of the rescue squad, at which point we asked him to be checked out, and then he went into the rescue squad while I spoke with Deputy Nye outside. And we learned some things about why he stopped him and things of that nature.
And while you were, standing there and observed the Dollar General bag and you said the broken, or the punctured can of alcohol, and the can of dust-off, what, if any, observations did you make with regard to a receipt?
Inside of the container, inside of the bag there was a receipt. The bag was open and on the ground. I pulled out the receipt. The receipt stated that all the items were purchased at Dollar General at around 8:30 in the morning. And this interaction with this male was at 9 a.m., so about a half hour prior to this interaction, he had been purchasing this stuff.
Now, once the fire department arrived and you asked for the vitals and those were given to you, what's going to happen with the defendant at that point?
At that point, based on the observations of Deputy Nye when he arrived on scene, it was decided that he was going to be likely placed into custody for disorderly conduct because he was in a state of intoxication and was unable to care for himself. At that point, it was just a minor misdemeanor. It was a citation until he can get it in, once we get him into the jail, then, once he sobers up, then he would just be released on more than likely a personal bond.
Okay. So the reason for the fire department and the squad was to medically clear him to be taken to the Lake County Jail, is that right?
That's correct.
And they cleared him?
Yes, they did, ma'am.
And that was their sole purpose there that day?
That is correct.
I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, you said that you were responding to an unresponsive male. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, what was the male unresponsive to?
I have no idea. I wasn't on scene.
Okay, so, but you don't know anything about the call that came in about?
I just know that they were dispatched to a male that was passed out on the side of Spring Lake.
Okay. A male that was passed out on the side of the road, it's on Spring Lake?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and
Where did that information come from?
That was from the complainant that was relayed through dispatch, sir.
I'm sorry.
so dispatch had a phone call, then how did that information get to you?
The caller called in to 911, the 4-digit line. I don't
Right, how
know.
did the dispatch get to you?
And then they never actually dispatched me to it. They dispatched Deputy Nye to it,
Okay,
and I believe Deputy Takavic went along with him.
okay, so how did you get information to show up?
I went on my own accord because of
Right, how
whatever.
did you know something was happening?
I just said that it was because dispatch said that there was a call of an unresponsive male on the side of the road.
Right, so you also said that dispatch reached out to Officer Nye and dispatched him. So did you just hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
so
sorry,
then-
yeah,
Okay, so you heard that dispatch and then you showed up?
yes,
Okay. Do you know anything else about the phone call itself?
no,
Okay. And you said you arrived for a welfare check? That was your understanding?
the call came in as a welfare check for somebody that was passed out on the side of the roadway, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, and, you arrived at the time that the, rescue squad arrived?
Yeah, I think I was the third car back, and the rescue squad, as I was walking up, the rescue squad was pulling up. They actually had 2 rescue squads.
Uh-huh.
That's something that I don't know, or that I do not have a whole lot of knowledge in, but because of where they're located at, they have to send 2 because of
Okay.
the location.
And so one of them stayed and one of them left?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and so as you were walking up, the rescue squad arrived and they?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you approached Mr. Polzer, about how far away from him were you when you were talking to him and making all these observations about him? Like, were you right next to him? Were you 10 feet away?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I was right next to him, I mean, but I would say within 10 feet, yeah.
Okay. Well, you said you noticed certain smells, and so.
Yes, that's correct, in the open air.
Okay. And you were, a few feet away from him when you noticed that?
I'd say that's fair, yes.
Okay. And you said the three of you, once Mr. Polzer was being assessed by the rescue squad, the three of you went over to the fire hydrant, saw that yellow Dollar General bag, was it?
So, the yellow Dollar General bag had been located by Deputy Nye and Deputy Takavic before I had arrived on scene.
Okay.
And they mentioned it to me and the items that were inside of it.
Okay.
So then that's when I went over and I saw what was inside of it.
They just mentioned that there was a bag over there?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Nothing specific to the contents, just that there was
They
Dollar
mentioned that
General
there
bag?
was, a broken container of alcoholic beverage, some miscellaneous, food items, and a can of dust-off.
Okay, so they had already viewed the contents of the bag at the time
That's
you
correct,
got
yes,
there?
ma'am.
Okay. And all of those items and the receipt were in the bag?
There was one can of, I think it was the dust-off that was actually outside of the bag in the wet grass.
Okay.
Or partially in the bag, partially outside, I don't know. I mean, whatever they did to it before I got there, I can't speak to.
Mm-hmm.
That was everything that was on scene there.
That's how you viewed it when you walked out, that there was part of a can outside, part inside, and everything else was inside the bag? Okay. And you said after Mr. Polzer had been assessed by the rescue squad, it was determined that, based on the observations, that he was going to be arrested for disorderly conduct?
Correct.
Okay. And that was a minor misdemeanor citation, you said?
It was a minor misdemeanor citation, which would have been elevated if he had any prior convictions for the same,
Okay, but that
something like that.
was, the fact that it was elevated wasn't discussed at that time?
No, ma'am, I actually made the telephone call to our, jail tracks clerk to run a criminal history check on him.
Okay.
So that way I could find out if the charge would be elevated while I was inside my cruiser, while I was still on scene.
Okay, and did you get that call back, or
I
did you
did.
get the results back, and what was
I
the
did.
result?
The results were that, I don't think that he had any prior convictions for disorderly conduct under that particular section,
Okay,
because it has to be under the B section or the
That-
B2 section in order for it to be elevated to an M4.
okay.
But, there was, other things that caught my attention as far as, abusing harmful intoxicants. He had several other convictions
Okay,
on
but
it.
as for the disorderly conduct, there wasn't anything that would have enhanced that?
Anything that would have enhanced it, no ma'am.
Okay, thank you, I have no further questions.
Redirect examination?
No, Your Honor.
You may step down, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, statement called next witness.
Deputy Nye.
Sorry?
I was letting her know that the fireman's over here, not here yet.
Sergeant Kelly just said the deputy just texted him. I'm not sure what the substance of the text is, Judge.
No, I'll give you a little bit of time to get him here, otherwise we're gonna move on.
He's 2 minutes, all rise. He's 2 minutes away, sir, Liberty and South State.
10 minutes away, 30
Yeah.
minutes ago.
All rise. You may be seated.
All right, statement calls next witness.
State would call Deputy Nye to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Good.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Deputy.
Good morning.
Would you be kind enough to state your name and spell your last name for the record, sir?
Deputy Andrew Nye, NYE,
And sir, where are you employed?
the Lake County Sheriff's Office,
What is your position?
Deputy Sheriff,
And how long have you been employed as a deputy sheriff?
since December 2nd of 2020.
And you are assigned to the Road Patrol Division?
I am.
Prior to your service with the Lake County Sheriff's Department, were you employed with any other agency?
I was.
And what was that?
The Ohio State Highway Patrol.
Okay. And would you briefly outline your education and training that qualified you for both those positions?
I attended the Highway Patrol Academy, which certified me to be a peace officer in the state of Ohio.
And you received your certification?
I did.
And when was that?
March 24th, 2017.
And you've held that since 2017 up to present day?
Without any breaks of service, yes.
Now, with respect to your training, I believe when you were a trooper, did you receive any training related to intoxication or impaired individuals?
Yes.
And what type of training did you receive?
OBI, SFSTs, and I did attend the drug recognition expert
And where was that?
training. Partially in Ohio and partially in Florida.
Okay.
Jacksonville, Florida.
And during the course of your training for the drug recognition program, did you have occasion to observe individuals that were in various intoxicated states,
Yes.
specifically as it related to chemical inhalants?
Yes.
And where was that?
That was in Jacksonville, Florida.
And as a result of your training, did you receive a certification?
I did.
Okay. And how long did you hold that certification?
For 2 years, and I did let that certificate expire.
Okay. So, not only did you receive classroom training, you had the opportunity to be out in the field and observe people under the effects of a chemical inhalant.
In the field in Florida, yes.
Okay. And what were your observations regarding that effect?
Under the chemical inhalant.
During the course of your training, yeah.
Exactly what the book had specified it to be.
Okay. Is it a lasting effect, a quick effect?
Very fast onset.
And in your years of service, how many folks would you say you've encountered that were impaired or intoxicated?
Generally intoxicated, hundreds.
Okay. How about as a result of a chemical inhalant?
Probably less than 5.
Now, I want to turn your attention, Deputy, and ask if you were working as a deputy sheriff on August 28th of 2022,
I was.
and as a road patrol officer,
Yes.
and the shift you've been assigned, sir?
Day shift at that time.
And when you report for duty, are you in uniform much as you are today?
I am.
Okay. Are you assigned a cruiser?
Yes.
And do you wear a body camera?
On that day, yes.
Okay. And so you had all 3 of those items on August 28th of 2022?
Correct.
And your body camera was functioning
Yes, it was.
appropriately? Now, turning to approximately 9 a.m. during the course of your shift on August 28th, did you have occasion to respond to a call at 18 Spring Lake Boulevard?
Yes.
And what residents or apartments are located in that area?
It's an apartment/efficiency style building complex where there's small apartment, 1-bedroom studio apartments.
Are there other residents along Spring Lake Boulevard?
There are house-style residents,
And it's B&B apartments?
is what it's called, yes.
Now, you've had occasion prior to coming to court to view a map, an aerial map of that area, is
I
that
have.
right, where the call took place?
I have.
And would utilizing that map help assist in explaining where you first responded to?
Sure.
I'm going to ask to utilize State's Exhibit 1, Judge. It's an overview map of the area of Spring Lake Boulevard, in the area of B&B apartments.
Okay. Is that up on your system there? We don't want to see your password. Tell me when it's on your screen.
It is on my screen now, Judge. Now, do you recollect where you were when you received this transmission, Deputy?
I responded from the sheriff's office, from the
Okay. And once you get there, well, initially, what was the nature of the initial call?
Came in as a disorderly call where a male was supposedly passed out near a fire hydrant.
Okay. And when you get there, do you encounter any other people in the area?
I did. But before arriving, a passerby who I did not identify flagged me down as he was driving past, and I slowed down and stopped and rolled my window down. And he told me that there was a male who was passed out near a fire hydrant just up the street.
Say that one more time, you said what?
There was a third-party male who flagged me down who was driving. I stopped, slowed down, and spoke with him briefly, and he said there was a male who was passed out near a fire hydrant just up the street. How do you? After speaking with the second person who was advising law enforcement of this call, which was the male who flagged me down, I pulled up my vehicle this way, probably 20 or 30 more yards to about right here in this area. There's a fire hydrant right here. I parked parallel, and I was able to see what the described male was doing on this side, right here. So the original caller called in somewhere along this area. The second person who flagged me down at about this area here. I made it to about here and was able to see what was being described by both people.
When you made your observations, we'll get to that in a minute, what did you do in terms of any transmission?
As soon as I made my observation, which was completely consistent with both the caller and the passerby, I saw the male to be passed out, needing some sort of assistance. I immediately asked for an ambulance via my radio before I exited my patrol car.
So what were your concerns at this point as a result of the call?
This male needs some sort of help.
Okay. So when you made those observations, you approach the male, what do you do at that point?
Asked for the ambulance, exited my patrol car, went to start conversation and approach, and then the male got up very fast, actually.
Well, let's talk about that. You approach, where do you see the male?
Okay, so he's laying over the top of the fire hydrant.
Okay, and you're talking about, utilizing this one fire hydrant in this area?
It's a little bit farther north, right there, up there. Yep.
And you're wearing your body camera.
I am.
Are you able to see the male while you're getting out of your car?
On the body camera, it shows my steering wheel, and he's off to my right.
Okay.
So you cannot see him until I completely exit my vehicle, walk around to the front of my car, to which he is already standing with his bicycle and ready to walk away at that point.
Okay, so what do you do?
Ask him to stop and come talk to me and
Does he?
have a conversation. Initially, no.
Okay, so what do you do?
Tell him to stop and start to follow him as he walks maybe 10 to 15 feet away to where I catch up to him and say, hey, stop, we need to help you out.
Okay, as you're following him and asking him to stop, what, if any, observations are you making about his physical appearance and his demeanor?
Very fast, erratic movements. He did tell me he didn't need any help. Grabbed his bicycle, walked away. He appeared to be wet, agitated. By that time, I had already made contact with him.
Okay, and what was the purpose of the contact, deputy?
He needed help.
Okay,
He needed some sort of assistance.
so what did you do?
I stopped him from walking away and possibly being a harm to himself. As soon as I touched him and put my hands on him, I noticed how tense and aggressive his body was. His muscle tone was extremely rigid, extremely agitated and extremely soaking wet.
And
He went to turn towards me, and for his safety and for mine, he was placed in handcuffs.
did he say anything to you as you were approaching him?
I'd have to watch the video exactly what he said.
Okay, and we will, okay. Now, based on your observations, at that point, you cuffed him for safety purposes at that point,
For his safety
correct?
in mind, yes.
All right. Do other officers arrive at this point?
After probably another minute or so, Deputy Takavic arrives.
Okay. And while you're doing so, do you make any observations about any odors?
Yes,
And what was that?
a distinguished, strong chemical odor on or about his person.
And his clothing, or did you note anything at that point?
His clothing was wet. I noticed that pretty quickly.
Did you ask him any questions about that?
I'd have to watch exactly.
All right, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 2.
Yes, I am. This is the body camera footage.
You've had an opportunity to review it before, please?
I have.
It fairly and accurately depicts the encounter with the individual
It does.
that was subject to the call of welfare check.
Yes.
And before we get to this, at some point during the course of the encounter and the call, were you able to identify this individual?
I was.
And who was it?
It was Aloysius Polzer.
Okay, and had you ever met Aloysius Polzer before?
No, not prior to this.
Okay. And do you see Aloysius Polzer in the courtroom here today?
He is here today.
Okay, if you could point to him, describe what he's wearing.
White pocket square.
Okay.
Sorry?
White pocket square, black jacket.
If the record reflects, he's correctly identified the defendant.
Record may so reflect.
Judge, I would move to admit a portion of Deputy Knight's body camera
Any
for
objection?
10 minutes.
Your Honor, again, I would make the same argument as to the scope of the body cam that's being played. My understanding, the state intends to present 10 minutes of this body cam. As I stated previously, my suppression is focused on the first 10 seconds of this interaction, maybe 30, including the drive up, and so the 10 minutes of.
No, we're gonna watch the whole thing, or whatever they wanna present, so they can get the full context of what happened. If stuff afterwards is not relevant, it won't be considered by the court, but I'll make that determination as to what's relevant, and I can't do that without seeing it. So I'm gonna admit it. What number is that?
2,
Two?
Judge. And Deputy Knight, your body cam. Oh, what is it?
What's going on?
I shut my computer off, Judge, I'm sorry. Deputy Knight, your body cam starts at approximately at the time that you encounter the passing motorist, is that correct?
Yes.
turning onto what street here?
Spring Lake Boulevard.
Has he passed out?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Adam, one question.
Adam 1.
Passerby said that he's passed out by a fire hydrant. I'll advise.
I'm not sure what came up, Judge. I don't know what happened.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's take a look, hold on.
But see if it boots up now.
Yeah. Come on. Trying. There we go.
Has he passed out?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Adam, one question.
Adam 1.
Passerby said that he's passed out by a fire hydrant. I'll advise.
Copy.
I'm with him. Start me a squad.
Copy.
What's up, man? Can I talk to you real quick?
That's okay.
Oh, come here.
No,
Come here.
sir.
You're okay? Hey, come here. Hey, hey, brother.
Oh, no, get the hell
Dude,
away from me.
hey, dude, you're gonna get arrested if you don't stop. Dude, you're gonna get arrested. Dude, stop. Stop. Relax. I wanna check on you.
Why are you grabbing on me?
Relax.
Sorry, sir.
Stop.
Yes, sir. Oh, sorry, my hand raised.
Okay, put your hands behind your back right now. Because I'm checking on you. Just do it.
Okay.
Just do it. Do not fight with me. Do not fight with me.
will not, sir.
Do not fight with me.
Why are you doing it?
You're being detained. You need help, dude.
Please let me leave.
Where do you live?
Here. Can you please just let
Okay,
me
but
go?
you're obviously having some sort of issue.
I'm
Relax.
gonna go back.
Just relax. Drop the bike.
I'm not going anywhere over here.
You're not. You're staying right with me.
Yes, sir.
But you're trying to run away from me.
Because you're startling me.
Okay, you startled me.
Sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
Let's restart this whole conversation.
Yes, sir.
I'm Andy.
I'm Louis.
Louis. Okay,
Handshake?
what's up?
Okay.
Where's your ID so I can get you identified?
Right here, sir.
Okay. Can I grab it?
Back left pocket, sir.
That's your back right.
It's the back left.
I don't see it. Hold on.
Where?
Hold on. I'll get it.
Yes, sir. I think it's... Or is it... Yeah, it's not right. Far right, sir.
I got it right here. In the
It
wallet?
was back left, yes, sir.
Okay. Widen your stance. Nothing on you that's gonna get you in trouble? Nothing on you that's gonna hurt me?
No, no, sir.
Okay. What's this, phone?
Yes, sir.
Widen your stance. You're all wet. Is it from the grass or what?
Yeah, it is.
What is this?
Hacky sack.
Can I see it?
Yes, yes, sir.
Hacky sack. I haven't seen one of these in years. What is that?
Cigarette butt. What? Hacky sack.
Where's your ID?
It's in here.
Oh, I'll get it. I see it.
Yes. Next one, after breathe. There we go. Oh,
I'll get it.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna turn this down so I can hear you talk, okay?
That's okay.
Got off on the wrong foot. How do you turn this down here?
Dude, we can just turn the
wait.
thing off, yeah.
Skip
Skip it
ahead.
and pause, please.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Are you wanted by chance or no?
Oh, I'm not, no.
On him? Okay, so I pull up and you're passed out by the fire, or what do you call that thing? Fire hydrant. What's going on with you?
I'm just getting ready to get back to my brother's house. That's it.
Here?
Yes, sir.
That's who you're staying with? Where,
Yes.
what unit?
B2.
What's his name?
Joshua Michael.
Is he able to care for you?
Yes.
Are you able to care for yourself?
Yes, sir.
Because I just watched you passed out by the fire hydrant.
I'm gonna be okay, sir, I promise.
Holder, have you been using drugs again?
I have not.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because you used to use a lot.
I have not.
You haven't used? Nothing?
No,
You been
ma'am.
drinking or anything?
No, ma'am.
Nothing?
Not today, no.
Not today.
From last
Alois
night, but not
Holzer,
today.
30-year-old male out of Perry, showing an expired OL. No one. Shows he should be incarcerated at Richland Correctional.
What's it called?
Was just released yesterday.
You got released yesterday?
Yes.
Stating he
was supposed to be released yesterday.
Ambulance is gonna check you out for intox, because I don't believe you,
Hi, Tommy.
okay? It's obvious that you're, listen to me.
Sir, can I please?
Apron.
Listen to me. I said the ambulance is gonna check you out, is what I said.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's where we're gonna start. Because when I showed up, and I had someone actually flag me down and say there's a male that's passed out by the fire hydrant.
Sir, can we please just call my brother and so you, right there, can we please walk in the door?
We will in a minute. I'm more concerned about your health and well-being.
Sir, I am 100%, can you please?
Oh, wait, listen.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you listen to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're gonna have the squad check you out, okay? Because for your safety and mine, you smell like booze, okay? Listen,
Yes, ma'am.
don't cut me off, okay? Listen, we're gonna have them check you out, because I think that's what's best. You don't want anything to happen to you. Obviously, I see some booze over there by the, I'm not saying it's yours, there's booze over there by the fire hydrant.
Yes, okay, and by the way, the can fell on the ground and it's unopened.
Okay,
It is
okay,
unopened.
and that's fine, all right?
Yes,
They're
ma'am.
gonna check you out, okay? That's all.
And then can I please just go on my way?
I think so. I don't see why we can have a problem with
Yes,
it.
sir, okay, sir.
He's in there though, for sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's his name?
Joshua Kelly.
Kelly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is your last name Kelly too? No.
No.
He's your brother or friend?
Best friend. I've lived with him and his father for years, so I
Okay.
consider him a brother.
Okay.
What were you in, was it Richfield for?
Richland.
Richland, what were you in Richland for?
That's Mansfield, the new Mansfield, isn't it?
Yeah, obstruction of justice.
How long were you in for?
4 months.
4 months?
What all did you leave over there by the thing? Because that's technically littering.
Can I just,
Let's go over there and look. I'm gonna leave you in cuffs because I don't like the way you acted at first, okay? I literally told you to stop and you, like, hustled your little butt away from me. Give me a solid. Just stay right there while she looked at it. Just leave it, just leave it, just leave it. Okay, what's the blaster for? Don't bullshit me now. Now I'm curious.
we're honestly cleaning I have a microphone, we do a, what's it called, podcast every morning. You can check everything out I have in there for our equipment, that's what everything is.
Hey, Polder, can you move over for me? Appreciate it, man.
Can you guys please just let me...
Wait, listen,
Yes, ma'am.
you're not in trouble right now, okay? I need you to calm down a little bit, all right?
Please just let me go. Please, just let me go home.
Alois, I'm concerned for your well-being. You need to be seen by a squad. Do you understand? Right? You need to be seen.
Can we just go talk to Josh, please?
We will in a minute. Now I'm concerned that you're using blaster.
I'm not, sir.
Okay. Those are fine. Is that open or no? That's the white claw's
Like
not
I
open?
said, it fell on the ground and that's why it's open.
That's okay. I'm just checking,
Okay.
man.
Are you gonna be cooperative with the ambulance people?
Yes, sir. Just please let me go home and just be a normal life. Please just let me live a normal life.
Okay.
I told you it hit the ground.
Spilled.
Yes, I told you it hit the ground.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Let me see the blaster. Is it full or no? I don't got gloves on.
Yes.
What you tell me?
Not completely full.
Okay.
It's probably like,
They're gonna know by checking your vitals if you used that or not. When was the last time you hit that up to your nose? Just be straight with
I
me.
haven't. Sir, please, guys.
This isn't the end of the world.
Guys, no.
This isn't the
Please,
end of the world.
just please let me go home.
I have to. I'm obligated to make sure you're okay.
Okay, and then can you please, sir, let me...
I'm hoping so. Yes.
Polder, we don't
Hey,
want
guys.
to have any
Hi.
issues with you, man.
I want to make sure he's okay.
Oh, great.
I
How are
want
you?
to make sure he's okay. I had a call that he was acting erratically. I got a passerby, told me he was passed out. I I saw him passed out. There's a can of duster. He went to try to run away from me, and here he is. So I don't know if he's got something wrong.
Right here, here's Bob we can talk to.
That's your friend, brother?
No, that's the owner of here. Can you please come talk and just
Well, we'll talk to him in a second. Like I said, I'm more concerned that you're under the influence of what she's holding in the bag here.
That's why making my heart rate go up so much. Please,
Okay.
calm down.
This isn't the end of the world.
Please just let me go.
We're all good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're satisfied with him.
Please just let me go. Sir, please. Can I please?
We're all good here, guys. Appreciate you.
Could I please just go right there? Please do not.
I'd like to get him.
Hey, get it together, man. Just get it together. Jesus, man.
Get his vitals.
Grown man here.
Can we at least get vitals?
Real quick, and
Yeah.
if he's fine, then.
Just because the way he acted earlier, we're gonna leave him in the cuffs right now.
How are you?
Slide up in there.
Do me a favor, see right there, real quick.
Oh, if they haven't been.
Did they take his vitals, deputy?
Yes,
And were you made aware of what those were?
yes.
And what were they?
I'd have to refer back to the report for exactly what they were.
Blood pressure was 120/90,
Sounds accurate,
heart rate was 120.
yes,
And you received that information from the fire department?
yes.
All right. So, Deputy Nye, after watching that video, explain to the court what the observations that you made about him in terms of his speech, his clothing, the odor, and his physical demeanor. When did you make those observations with respect to the encounter?
Within the first 3 minutes of the encounter of talking with him.
Okay.
While we were speaking, after the handcuffs were placed, while I was silencing his phone, all within those first 3 minutes or so.
And I'm not sure I asked you. If I did, I'll ask you to repeat it. What odors did you detect when you encountered the defendant?
A strong chemical odor on his person.
And as a result of your training and experience, what did you suspect that was from?
Something unnatural, something synthetic.
Okay. And when you walked back to the fire hydrant, what were you concerned about with respect to any chemical inhalant?
When I saw the blaster, it kind of made sense to me that may be what the odor could be from.
So based on your observations, when the welfare check began and your observations by the fire hydrant, after the fire department checked out the defendant, what, if anything, were you going to do at that point?
He was going to be, at the minimum, placed under arrest for disorderly conduct, public intoxication.
Were you concerned for his well-being at that point?
At this point, no. EMS advised that he was okay.
To go to the jail?
Correct.
How would you characterize his state? Was he sober? Was he impaired?
At that point, towards the end of this video, I would say that he was not impaired at this point.
Okay. How would you characterize his state when you first encountered him?
To be impaired, coming down from being impaired on some sort of substance.
Okay. I could have one moment, Judge?
Sure.
So after he was cleared by the fire department, he was going to be taken to jail, is that right?
Yes,
And what was the purpose of that?
for the disorderly conduct, public intoxication charge.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Judge.
Cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor. One moment, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
So you started by talking about the training you did with the state patrol for measuring impairment and intoxication, for OBIs, is that it?
Yes,
And for those tests there's a series of, tasks that you make an individual do in order to show certain signs of impairment, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you responded from the sheriff's office, about how long do you think it took you from when you were dispatched to get to the location?
Probably 8 minutes,
Probably 8 minutes?
if I had to
Okay.
take a guess.
And then, you said that you were dispatched for a male that you believe to be passed out, or that the caller believed to be passed out.
Correct.
Okay.
I believe the call notes indicated erratic movements, passed out at the fire hydrant as well.
Yeah,
The call notes indicated erratic movements
Did
and
you get a call at that time?
I was
Sorry,
asking
go
that
ahead.
question, but what did you say?
the call notes from the dispatch center indicated the male made erratic movements and was passed out by the fire hydrant.
So that call was relayed to you? They told you that there was a passed out male that was making erratic movements?
Yes.
Okay. And you said as soon as you made contact with him, as soon as you touched him, you noticed, that he had a rigid muscle tone, that he was wet, that he was tense, and that's when you placed him in handcuffs for both of your safety?
Yes.
Okay. And as we just saw in the video, from the time that you arrived to the time that you put him in handcuffs was pretty quick, right?
Yes. Less than probably 20 seconds.
Probably less, right? And so, when you got there, he, as we saw in the video, he immediately stood up and started walking away, right?
Yes.
And you could hear him saying, you know, get the F away from me, I don't need help, I'm fine, leave me alone.
Yes.
And you can hear all those in the video, right?
Yes.
And so, he repeatedly was asking if he could go home. He was staying with his brother, which turned out to be his best friend, and he kept pointing at a house that was right there.
Yes.
And when Officer Pekovic arrived, the both of you went with Mr. Polder over to the area where, you had originally seen him by the fire hydrant,
Correct.
and that's when you noticed the can of dust off and started asking him about that.
Yes.
I think he said, well, now I'm curious, and
Yes.
that prompted you to be concerned.
For his
He was
safety.
using that.
Yes.
Okay. And then when the rescue squad showed up, after about 10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds of them standing there, they said, yeah, no, he's good. And you had to specifically request that they check his vitals, right?
Yes, because I was still concerned for him. The way that I saw him, if it was anybody else, he needed to be seen.
Okay. But they didn't seem concerned from their viewpoint?
Correct. Correct. Their observations didn't appear to be important at the time.
Okay. And you said that all of those things that you noticed about Mr. Polzer that were concerning to you, that made you think that he needed help, were within those first 3 minutes?
Absolutely.
And that, you know, after the handcuffs were placed on him, you smelled that chemical smell, you felt his body stiffness, you felt that he was wet, all those things that you noticed?
Yes.
No further questions, thank you.
Redirect examination.
Upon your approach to the area of the fire hydrant, Deputy Nye, what did you see the defendant, how did you see what did you see the defendant doing, or where was he?
When I pulled up to the fire hydrant, when I got out. I guess both. When I
as
pulled
you
up to the
approached.
fire hydrant and looked over to my right and saw him laying over the top of the fire hydrant, I advised dispatch that I was with him, and that I needed a squad, and I was thinking I need to get out and, make sure he is okay and breathing. And as soon as I exited the vehicle and looked again, as I exited and walked around the front of my car, he was already up with his bicycle and ready to walk away. It was a very fast interaction.
As you were walking behind him, what did you observe about him?
That he was, I couldn't exactly tell what he was saying until I rewatched the footage about getting away from me, that he didn't need help. But I noticed he was saying, using words and walking away, and I knew that
What
he
did you
needed
notice
help.
about his speech, if anything?
his speech was, to me, slurred, and then when I made contact with him and put him into cuffs, the conversation continued to where he did use slurred speech.
And during the course of the encounter, did his muscle tone, his speech, his demeanor, did that shift?
It did after the first 10-minute camera footage interval and then into the second, to where we made the decision to make the arrest. He appeared to not be impaired and not be as rigid. He was upset, but it showed that he was not as so impaired anymore.
All right, thank you. Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. You said that he had slurred speech?
Yes.
Okay, and in just rewatching that video, at what point did you notice that he had slurred speech?
Within the first 3 minutes, during the phone interaction with me trying to turn his phone down.
Okay, and when you asked which pocket his wallet was in, he told you the exact pocket the wallet was in? The back left pocket?
I believe he said the back right pocket, and it was in the back left. It was one or the other.
Okay, well, I'm gonna play back that video, and I'd like for you to stop and tell me where you think that you're hearing slurred speech.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready, Judge.
Hey. Adam, one question.
Adam 1.
Passerby said that he's passed out by a fire hydrant. I'll advise.
Copy.
I'm with him. Start me a squad.
Copy.
What's up, man? Can I talk to you real quick?
That's okay.
Oh, come here. Come here. You're okay. Hey, come here. Hey, hey, brother.
Oh, no, get the hell
Dude,
away from me.
hey, dude, you're gonna get arrested if you don't stop. Dude, you're gonna get arrested. Dude, stop. Stop. Relax. I wanna check on you.
Why are you grabbing on me?
Relax.
Sorry, sir.
Stop.
Yes, sir. Oh, sorry, my hand raised.
Okay, put your hands behind your back right now. Because I'm checking on you. Just do it.
Okay.
Just do it. Do not fight with me. Do not fight
I
with me.
will not, sir.
Slurred
Do
speech.
not fight with me.
Why are you doing
You're being
Saying
detained.
what you were saying there was slurred speech?
You need help, dude.
Unintelligible.
Okay, you can continue.
Please let me leave.
Where do you live?
Here. Can you please just let
Okay,
me
but
go?
you're obviously having some sort of issue.
I
Relax.
want to go back.
Just relax. Drop the bike.
I'm not going anywhere over here.
You're not. You're staying right with me.
Yes, sir.
But you're trying to run away from me.
Because you're startling me.
Okay, you startled me.
Sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
Let's restart this whole conversation.
Yes, sir.
I'm Andy.
I'm Louie.
And right there, you're saying, you're trying to run away from me, because you startled me. You respond with, you startled me. So you're having a conversation back and forth at this point?
Yes.
Okay, and you're saying that continuing on from here, that there's slurred speech?
Yes.
Okay.
Louie.
Handshake?
What's up?
Okay.
Where's your ID so I can get you identified?
Right here, sir.
Okay. Can I grab it?
Back left pocket, sir.
That's your back right.
That's
It is the back one.
right there, right?
Yes.
I don't see it. Hold on.
Where?
Hold on. I'll get it.
Yes, sir. I think it's... Or is it... Front right. Front right, sir.
I got it right here. In the
It
wallet?
was back left, yes, sir.
Okay. Widen your stance. Nothing on you that's gonna get you in trouble?
He's specifying yes, sir.
Nothing on you
no.
that's gonna hurt me?
Giving
No,
consent
no.
at this
Okay.
point.
Yes, he was polite.
What's this, phone?
Yes, sir.
Widen your stance. You're all wet. Is it from the grass or what?
Yeah, it is.
What is this?
All that extra
Hacky
fluid
sack.
that's coming from
Can I
the
see it?
phone
Yes,
that's
yes,
on
sir.
Hacky sack. I haven't seen one of these in years. What is that?
Cigarette butt? What? Hacky sack.
He's clarifying as to what all the individual items in his pocket are at this time.
Yes.
Where's your ID?
It's in here.
I'll get it.
His wallet, his ID is located.
Yes.
I see it.
Just... Next one back, I believe.
Slurred
There we
speech.
go.
He's saying what you
I'll
were
get it,
saying
I'll
there,
get it.
slurred speech.
I found it to be unintelligible.
And at that point, there's also that background noise.
There is.
I'm gonna turn this down so I can hear you talk, okay?
That's okay.
And you
Got off on the wrong
okay,
foot.
you said that's okay.
How do you turn this down here?
Dude, we can just turn the whole thing off, yeah.
Skip
Skip it
ahead.
and pause,
Speech
please.
again.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
He's asking if you can keep the phone on at that point, and you said,
Intelligible.
You want it by
but
chance or
slurred.
no?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not, no.
On him? Okay, so I pull up and you're passed out by the fire, or what do you call that thing? Fire hydrant. What's going on with you?
I'm just getting ready to get back to my brother's house. That's it.
Here?
Yes, sir.
That's who you're staying with? Where's, what unit?
B2.
What's his name?
Joshua Michael.
Is he able to care for you?
Yes.
No. Are you able to care for yourself?
Yes, sir.
Because I just watched you passed out by the fire hydrant.
I'm gonna be okay, sir, I promise.
Holder, have you been using drugs again?
I have not.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because you used to use
so
a
we're in
lot.
that, so at this point,
You haven't
do
used?
you think that
Nothing?
No,
You been
ma'am.
drinking or anything?
No, ma'am.
Well, we're at the 4-minute mark. I originally testified to the
Not
3-minute
today.
mark.
Okay,
Right
so
there.
you're saying after this, you're not, if there's any slurred
I would
speech?
have to continue watching to say if there's any more, but at this point, I had made the decision that there was slurred speech. I had already witnessed it.
Thank you.
All right, so we may step down, thank you. Statement calls next witness.
Judge, at this point, Judge, the state would move for the admission of the exhibits and rest.
All right, any objection to exhibits 1, 2, 3, A, B, or C?
Just the objections that I've already noted, Your Honor.
Remember, those objections are noted, but I'm gonna omit exhibits 1, 2, and 3, A, B, and C. Does the defense intend on calling any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please call your first witness.
Defense would like to call Lieutenant Michael Schaff.
What's his last name?
Schaff, S-H-O-F-F.
Thank you. Spell it again for me, S-H-O-F-F?
S-H-O-F-F.
Swear affirm the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay.
Good morning, Lieutenant. Could you state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Michael Schaff, S-H-O-F-F,
And where are you employed?
Painesville Township Fire Department.
How long have you worked there?
30 years,
What is your position there?
fire lieutenant,
Okay, and what duties come along with that position?
supervision of the crew at my station, reviewing reports, answering to the chief between the firefighters and myself.
Okay. Were you working on August 28th of 2022?
Yes.
And do you recall being dispatched to a location around 9 a.m.?
Yes.
And what was the reason for that dispatch?
I don't remember much of it, but we were called to check on an individual that was sleeping by the side of the road.
Okay. And did you, when you arrived at the location, was there a male sleeping at the side of the road?
No, as far as I can remember, we didn't have contact with the subject right away because he was, the sheriff's department arrived there first.
Okay.
So I don't know his condition before we rode.
When you walked up, was he in handcuffs or was he out of handcuffs?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you remember, so what kind of things do you look for when you go to the scene if you were to do, if you were to get a call about someone being sleeping on the side of the road, what would you check for?
First, we'd go to try to wake them up, see if they were unconscious or just sleeping.
Okay. And then, in this situation, do you remember being, doing any type of evaluation on Mr. Pulsar?
Myself, no.
Okay. What did you do when you arrived?
We had I had a medic under me. He did all the evaluation.
Okay. Were you present for that evaluation?
I don't recall if I was right with them or talking to the sheriff's department.
Okay.
I don't recall much of any interaction with the subject.
Okay. Do you recall, releasing him back to the department without having any issues? Or concerns?
Yes, he was never under our care, I should say.
Okay.
We were asked to do vitals and the medic
Okay.
performed that, but that was it.
So if you had any concerns about his health or his well-being, what would you do? Would you transport him to the hospital? Would you keep him there for a longer period of time?
If the medic that evaluated him thought he needed transport, I'm sure we would have.
Okay, and what kinds of things would require transport? Who makes that call, I guess, is the question.
The medic in charge.
Okay, and what types of things would prompt a medic to decide that someone needs to go to the hospital?
If there was something with his vitals or his answering questions of person, place, time, events.
Okay, so if he seemed disoriented, you'd be concerned and possibly
Yes.
transport him to the hospital. If he was making any kind of erratic movements or seemed unable to control his body in any way, you'd be concerned.
Depending on the patient's history.
Okay, if there was an issue with the vitals, that being, blood pressure or, heart rate, if it was too high, too low, those are the kinds of things that you would transport someone for?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions, thank you.
Cross-examination.
I have no questions, Judge.
All right, sir, you may step down, thank you. Defense may call its next witness.
We have no further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, we're gonna take a 5-minute break and we'll do closing arguments.
Thank you.
All right.
More paper.
I can't hear it, but it might be on my desk, so I can do. Thank you, Judge. Judge, this is a situation where deputy sheriffs responded as a result of a welfare check based on the initial reported call, and that welfare check escalated into an investigatory stop, and the officers had reasonable articulable suspicion to continue the detention of Mr. Polzer. The initial encounter that Deputy Nye had with Mr. Polzer mirrored that of what the original caller said, that he was passed out, what the passing motorist said, that he was passed out over a fire hydrant, and as Deputy Nye is approaching the area of the fire hydrant, he sees what has been dispatched to him. He sees a male folded over a fire hydrant. As he gets out of his car, what he sees is a male moving quickly away from him, yelling at him, appears wet, somewhat disheveled. As he gets closer, he notices he's tense. He's trying to stop him because he's not sure what condition he's in, and he's concerned for his safety, as he testified to. He further observes the tension at that point, the slurred speech. He smells a chemical odor. He smells a moderate odor of alcohol. Within a minute of their encounter, he's detained. Those factors are enhanced the more time he spends with him. He also does note, Judge, that he appears impaired at that time, but that impairment is wearing off quickly. And when he moves to the fire hydrant with Deputy Takavic and sees that can of dust-off, based on his training and experience, it's his concern that he's under the effects of the dust-off. And when they examine the can is not completely full at that time. And so it gives him additional reason to want the squad to check him out. So while they're waiting at the fire hydrant, this welfare check is continuing, and it's escalating into an investigatory stop situation. The firemen come, and they're there to assess his medical condition, Judge. They're not there to make any other observation, offer any other opinion. They're there to assess his medical condition in order to determine whether he can be transported directly to the jail or if he has to go to the hospital first. That was the purpose of the fire department at that point. And the case law in the 11th District, State v. Creighton, permits officers, when they are conducting a caretaking function, which is an exception to the Fourth Amendment, that they are able to stop an individual to render aid or to assess their condition and make sure that they're safe. In this particular situation, that's exactly what happened. He stopped the defendant as he was walking away because he was concerned for his safety, and as a result of that stop and detention, further information came forth in terms of the odor. He saw that clearly it was consistent he had fallen on the ground or had been on the ground because his clothing was wet and it was morning. And so he was concerned what caused that. As they moved to the fire hydrant, it was his determination it was the dust-off, that he had inhaled the dust-off or drank out of that can. But I think, I believe it was Sergeant Kelly that testified he had fallen on that can at that point. And that could have been an alternative reason for why he smelled of alcohol. It wasn't as strong as that of the chemical odor. So it's the state's contention, Judge, while incorporating the arguments set forth in the brief, that this was a consensual or a caretaking function, which is an exception to the Fourth Amendment, which escalated into an investigatory stop, and the officers had reasonable articulable suspicion to detain him and ultimately arrest him for the inhalant of or abusing harmful substances, as well as take him to jail based on the public intoxication situation.
Thank you. The defense? Carol?
Thank you, Your Honor. As the state says, this started as a wellness check, a consensual encounter to check the welfare of Mr. Polzer. As Deputy Nye approached to step on him, or to check on him, within 10 seconds, as you saw in the video, he grabs him by the belt and changes it from a consensual encounter to an investigatory stop. And in order to change it to an investigatory stop, there has to have been reasonable articulable suspicion that he was or about to be engaged in criminal activity. That was not the case here. And even his testimony today, he specifies that all of these indicators of impairment he noticed after he stopped Mr. Polzer. After he had already grabbed him by the belt, put him into handcuffs, he noticed the smell of chemical on him. He noticed that his body tone is rigid. He noticed that his clothing is wet. He starts pointing out slurred speech. Again, all of these occurring after he had already stopped him. And our argument is that they did not have any reasonable can't say that word today, suspicion to change that encounter from a consensual wellness check to a Terry stop. There was no indication of any criminal activity at that point. What he sees when those 10 seconds that you see of him getting out of the vehicle, the only things that changes from the time that he arrives and the state concedes that that's a consensual encounter to the time where they stop him from walking away is that he notices him stand up, grab his bike, and start walking away and telling him to get away from him. He sees that he's not passed out. He sees that he's functioning. He's able to walk. He's walking away. He's talking. There's nothing in those 10 seconds that give them probable cause to change the type of encounter that is. Yes, they do come up with all of these other things after that fact, but the state cites to this State v. Creighton, and I think that's a slight mischaracterization of what the situation there was. In that situation, they were specifically responding to a bar fight. They respond to someone that was injured, and in that opinion, they specify that the officer knew the person, knew that he was likely to be armed, that he was responding to a call of violent behavior. It was common for people at that specific bar to be armed, and for that specific individual to be armed on occasion. So when they searched his person, they were searching his person for safety. So they do specify that. And so I also think that that is in direct contradiction to what Santiago states when they're discussing a situation where they're getting an individual out of a car. An officer walks up to a car, tells them to walk out. When they address the issue of whether someone refusing to comply, in this situation, refusing to stop him walking away. The whole point of a consensual encounter is that you're allowed to walk away. To say that...
What about the first point of a welfare check?
Right, but a welfare check is a consensual encounter.
So if police see some person passed out on the road, or a person that, if they're trying to tend to a person that's injured and they're fighting him and being combative with them, but they're clearly injured, they can't restrain that person to try to tend to that person?
Well, in this situation, when they see an individual that they believe to be passed out, they see that with their own eyes, we saw on video, he is not passed out. He stands up, he grabs his bike, he starts walking away. Those things aren't present here. What's present here is an individual that is able to stand, who is able to talk, who is able to walk, who is not passed out, as was previously thought. So it isn't going to check his wellness.
That's not the hypothetical I posed, I get that.
I do understand, and I do think there is a differentiation if someone was in a more critical condition, if someone believed that that person was, severely injured and could bleed out on the street. Sure, I think maybe.
I don't know if it has to be that serious to be able to check out on somebody though.
Well, but I do think there is a line.
They don't do it, and then something happens and they get.
But I do think there is a line to say that if you walk up to any person on the street to say that, oh yes, I was just checking on that person. There has to actually be something present to show that that person is in need of help. And I do understand that having a wellness check, someone called in concerned and arriving and believing someone might need help because they're passed out, but then when you walk up, they're not passed out. They stand up, they walk away, they're telling you they're fine, they're telling you to leave them alone. So those things aren't present here. So because of all of that, again, the time period between when it's changed from a consensual encounter to more than that, there wasn't any indications present to the officer at that time. Those indications became present later after that was already changed into a higher level of a stop, but those weren't present at the time that this was turned into an investigatory stop. So we would argue that all the evidence after that point be suppressed.
Commissioner Roto, rebuttal?
Judge, I would beg to differ that Creighton does provide, authority that is, consistent with our set of facts here. It's that this was a community caretaking function, and that's an exception to the Fourth Amendment. What caused all this is the defendant was passed out over a fire hydrant. And that was the initial fact that Deputy Nye received over the radio, received from a passerby when they pulled up to him, and saw with his own eyes when he got to the area of that fire hydrant. Unfortunately, because of the nature of the body cam and where they wear them, we couldn't see that part. But what we did see isn't somebody who's fine. We've got somebody who's scrambling to get up from the ground, running away, speaking rapidly, making tense, jerky motions, trying to get away from the officer, and the officer is simply trying to assess whether he's okay, so he goes up to stop him to do so, and that's what Creighton provides, that you're permitted to stop a person to render aid if they reasonably believe there's immediate need for their assistance. At that time, Deputy Nye stated that was just the case. He felt that he was impaired. His impairment was diminishing as time went on, and he attributes that to the fact that he very well was under the influence of a chemical inhalant, which is a rapid, it leaves the effect, it leaves your body rapidly, and he bases that on his training and experience. And then when he sees the dust off and the can's not completely full, he feels that he was in an intoxicated state. And it was wearing off as they spent more time together at that time. So the state would submit that this was a caretaking exception to the Fourth Amendment that clearly morphed into the investigatory stop based on the reasonable suspicion that he gathered as he was following behind him, as he was reaching to cuff him, after he cuffed him, which he was well within his province to do so based on Creighton, and thereafter as they moved back to where the fire hydrant was and watching him and seeing what was by the fire hydrant. And if you notice, when on the body cam, when they approached the fire hydrant, I think Sergeant Kelly testified that the dust-off can was against the fire hydrant, and Deputy Takovic tells the lawyers to step back because he's standing over that, and it's kind of kicked up against the fire hydrant. So clearly, he didn't want them to see that at that point. However, I think the officers were well within their province, and they made the right decision concerning the welfare check as well as the investigatory stop.
Thank you. Quick question, Mrs. Carroll. What is it you're trying to suppress?
I'm trying to suppress everything that happened after Deputy Nye
What do you mean everything? Like what's everything?
all of the observations that they noted on about his person,
Okay, so
all of the statements that Joshua Kelly made when he came up afterwards and spoke to the deputy. It wasn't
Who's
on
Joshua
this video.
Kelly?
That was the individual that was his friend that was at the residence that he was staying at, and he came out and talked to officers for a while about prior drug use and all of the items that they then took
how could
and
you suppress the
confiscated.
items? He was leaving. He left. There was nothing found on his person, right?
Correct.
So the items that are the physical evidence, and specifically for this case, the can, was found on the grass by the fire hydrant.
It was,
And he was leaving.
yes,
And he was abandoning all that property there.
yes.
And you,
So-
so how can that be suppressed?
Well, I would say that in combination with all of the observations they made about the chemical odor, the rigid, all of the observations the officers made about his condition,
Okay.
from that point on. So I guess.
But the physical evidence that was found at the scene.
I do concede, yes, he was leaving that bag there, that bag was abandoned at that point, so anything they would have, gotten from that did not necessarily
You're
come
talking
from.
about statements he made, I guess observations, they,
Correct, the observations they made by taking him into custody, putting him into handcuffs and preventing him from leaving.
all right, take a brief recess, and then I will be back.
All right.